Train the muscles, not the joints.
Welcome back to Natural Gallant Bodybuilding Mountain. And today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about a comment that was made on my Patreon page by a guy named, well, I'll just make him anonymous because he didn't want me to say his name. He wanted me to just answer his question, but he doesn't want anybody to know that he's asking this question. Now, herein lies your problem, right? Because this guy's talking about a specific issue when he goes to the gym. He's talking about how he starts to apply strategic range of motion, or he tries to find out what works for him. And then what happens is that people make fun of him, people who have better gains or better results, and he starts to respond to that. So the first thing I'm going to say to this guy, because this is going to help other people too, and what I'm going to say is, you have to decide what is the foundation of your life. And if insecurity and the approval of other people is the foundation on which you're basing your life, you are That's what I'm going to tell you right now. 100%. You're absolutely totally Your life is going to be shit no matter what you do, because there's always going to be people who disapprove of what you are doing. Hey, if there's any monsters here in the woods or wild cannibal monstrosities that use my workout programs, okay, just for the record, I do care about what you guys think, mostly because I'm not interested in being eaten. So yeah, just ignore whatever I'm saying in the video here. Just don't pay attention to it. If you're insulted, this is not about you guys. Don't worry about it. I am concerned about what you think. Not only that, if you're following what the majority of people feel is acceptable, you're never going to innovate or become something specifically original yourself. You see, so your question that you asked me about worrying about what other people think, instead of actually you asking yourself, what works for me? You know, what works for you? When you go to the gym, like what's just working for you? And the other thing that this guy said was that he doesn't have the same results as other people in his gym. He hasn't been training as long. Maybe he doesn't have the genetics or whatever. But the bottom line is that he's looking externally constantly at what other people have or what other people are able to attain, but he's not looking at himself, which is the most important thing in the experiment of training or any sort of self-improvement. You have to look at the self if you're looking at self-improvement, right? So if you're working out and you're just looking at everybody else, but you're not paying attention to what's working for you, you're going to get so wrapped up in this whole ego game about what people think of you and this sort of thing, and you're going to ignore, in a lot of cases, what is actually working for you. Now, the other thing I want to say is that if I based my life on this philosophy that you have, I would have quit YouTube a long time ago. I wouldn't have put up any more videos. I wouldn't have helped anybody with anything because there was so much negativity around what I was teaching. Even though it worked, even though I won national titles, even though I became a pro natural bodybuilder, even though I was one of the best in the world, I was still getting negativity. So you see what the problem is? When you look externally for self-approval, you might become the best possible person in the entire planet and still have people not liking what you're doing. So doesn't it make sense to cut the head off the chicken right now and not follow their approval? Not try to make goals for yourself based on the approval of others, right? I'm not saying to be a jerk to everybody or anything, but I am saying that you cannot look at training and say if somebody approves of it, then it is right or not, right? The results are going to speak for themselves if you dare to conduct your own experiments. And yes, sometimes people who are hating on you, sometimes they have a point. Sometimes they might be saying something legitimate, but only through you concentrating on the self can you find out if their words or their statements are true or not. So if you're bodybuilding or lifting weights and your entire reason for doing this doesn't evolve, because at first a lot of times we start off as younger people or people that are looking to make our mark in the world or get approval from other people, but if this motivation does not evolve, what will happen is you'll inevitably quit right? You'd be like, oh, I never got the results I wanted. I never won the Mr. Olympia. I never made $1 million a year from lifting weights, right? You're going to end up quitting, and you'll quit everything, because everything in your life, if it's all about ego, even if you achieve what you're looking for, it's going to be an empty achievement. So you really have to look at the foundation of your life. Like, if you're doing something because it's a dance with life or a way of you enjoying life, then that's sustainable. But if it's just misery for you to get to a goal all the time, then most of your life is going to be misery, because the path and the destination really become the same. As one wise man told me, he said the path and the destination have to be the same. Meaning that the journey towards fulfillment in any goal has to have some level of fulfillment in the actual action. You have to find that somehow in order for you to stay on the road. Because eventually you'll find out the goal is just an illusion. It's a carrot that you can never get. It's a goal that always changes, right? You always meet these people, they achieve one goal, and then guess what? Another goal comes up, then another one, then another one. Before you know it, they're like, hey, I got to do this now. I got to do that. There's always a new goal. There's always a new goal. There's always this external sort of, yearning to move into a different direction or into a bigger, vaster direction, right? I have $1 million. Now I need to have 10 million. Now I need to have 10 billion. This is fine if it's not governed by misery or suffering. If you're enjoying it just as a game. But the way that this person framed their question shows me that their bodybuilding isn't something that they're learning to enjoy. They're just doing it in order to achieve a result, but hating the journey all along. And that's not going to be fulfilling. So this is what I mean about being in the moment as you work out, enjoying things. And I've written up a new program based on a rejuvenation approach to bodybuilding, which is that deload thing that I was talking about, doing the light workouts and stuff. So somebody asked me in the comments, how does the actual structure work? Well, I've written up a program and it will be up on my website, and I'm going to do an MP3 file along with it too, so that way I can explain some things and stuff. But ultimately, you have to learn how to enjoy this process. Screw everybody else, because a lot of people that talk and a lot of people that have an opinion are people who have done nothing with their life. A lot of times. A lot of times they've done nothing at all, and all they're looking for is somebody to bully a little bit to make themselves feel a little bit better about their lack of achievement, right? So just because people are criticizing you doesn't mean that they are experts. So you have to remember that. You have to take that into account. And sometimes there's monsters in the woods and they do have opinions, but the only reason why their opinions matter is that they are able to back it up with a bit of physicality, if you know what I'm saying. They're not always easy to get along with, and I try to ignore them, and I make videos and just do my thing, but sometimes things get physical and I'm not always up to the challenge. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of those guys back there. I mean, they've been lifting weights for thousands of years, just refining their technique, because they don't listen to the criticism from anybody. They just find out what works, right? Oh, look, a rock, I'll eat that. Hey, look, a stick, let's just lift this, see what happens, right? They just go through this whole process, and unfortunately, they're much stronger than I am. And meaner for some reason. I don't even know why. They're just mean. Much.